Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. Hector Guadalupe is changing lives, giving hope to people who've been incarcerated. You see, for people who've been incarcerated, it can often be difficult to find a job, to find someone who'll give you a second chance. But Hector Guadalupe believes in second chances. He trains formerly incarcerated people to become personal trainers. It's an entrepreneurial training program. Hector Guadalupe joins us now. Hector, welcome to American Voices.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So great to be here.
So give us a little feel for what it's like for someone who's been incarcerated and now they go out, they're out of prison, and they try to find a job. What obstacles do they face? What's it like on a day-to-day experience?
When it comes to obstacles, when it comes to returning back home, and even if I just think back to my own experience, it's so stacked that I can name a few, but it wouldn't matter because of how many layers of oppression. It's like a real thing. It's like an onion. It's that many layers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And even when you get your life on track, even when you get a job, right? Even when you move forward, there's still so many barriers. Like I made $150,000 my first couple years home as a salary and was doing well. I wanted to live on 14th and 5th. I didn't want to have to live back in my old neighborhood, but nobody wanted to provide me with an opportunity to live in a decent place, right? So these are all these like invisible barriers that you don't hear about, you know. But if I take it to the most basic level, you know, if I think of the challenges with technology when I came home, right? When I left, people were able to fill out a job application with a paper and a pen. Those days are gone. You know, who's going to show you how to use a computer? Who's going to show you how to buy a Metro card? That was a funny moment, actually. Trying to buy a Metro card. That was a funny moment.
Us. First of all, a Metro card. Let's explain. A Metro card is what?
Our train pass to get from one neighborhood to a next in New York City.
Yes, on a subway.
On the subway, and you got to buy a pass. And I'm staring at this huge machine. This machine looked like a monster.
Hey, I've been there.
Yeah, and there's like blinking lights on it. I don't know what's going on. Mind you, I've been gone for a decade, right? So the line is getting longer and longer and longer behind me. And now I'm having anxiety because people are looking at me like, why does this man not know how to buy a pass? So, of course, a really nice young lady stepped out of line and offered help. And of course, I acted like I wasn't from the city and told her where I'm from, we don't have Metro cards. And she took care of me. But that was like all of these, there was so many humbling moments, you know, when I think about when I first came home.
What about what people said to you? You'd try to apply for a job, you'd have an interview. What kind of feedback did people give you?
Oh, man, that was a tough time interacting with folks. And me, I was someone who had no need to hide, you know, when trying to apply for jobs and talking to people about employment and navigating that space as a formerly incarcerated person.
What do you mean you had no need to hide? What do you mean?
Well, I wasn't going to lie and say I'm going to tell you, you know, what my situation is and that I need employment and I'm ready to work hard, right? And people, it was hurtful because people would brush you off. People would, you know, I wouldn't get any second interviews. I wouldn't get any callbacks. And it was frustrating. And I can see how people break. Society breaks its own people because they're not looking at you from a place of compassion or empathy. There is none. And this is why we have a second you today, because of that feeling of just displacement, being discarded by people, you know?
So tell us about your personal experience. You were in prison and you came out. When you were incarcerated, you became interested in becoming a personal trainer. What made you think of that?
Well, while serving time, wellness changed my life, right? Wellness was like that light bulb that went off because I didn't
Hmm.
have access. You don't have access to medical care inside, not real medical care. So what do? Figure out natural ways to keep yourself healthy, strengthen your mind, and just reconnect with who you are as a person, figuring out what your passions are. What do you love to do? What do you find enjoyment in? Are you, start to dream, start to meditate, and all these amazing gifts that we have is what I explored. And I went into the gym and I lost 90 pounds
Wow.
in the course of 18 months. And I got a job in the prison gym, and I started training men and staff to get healthier while sitting in this, God-forsaken place. And that turned into me actually prospecting Italian, Russian mafia, and every politician and corrupt finance guy from Wall Street. Those were my first list of clients. If you were if you were from finance, Wall Street to the mafia, I'm charging you $1,000 a month to work out with me.
Really? So you were
Yeah,
making money inside prison.
100%.
That's fascinating. You got any interesting experiences about any of your clients without mentioning names? Tell
Oh
us a story
man,
about the Russian mafia.
that was a great experience because there was a lot of yelling involved in those sessions. But aside from that, I had some really interesting guys that we bumped into. Remember the Enron scandal
Yeah.
and a lot of other historic cases that went down in New York City, down to even celebrities that we won't name, but you can pretty much pick how many of those been in there, so you would know who I'm talking about. But we had great experiences. I mean, it was the federal system is a melting pot of people from all walks of life, which let me know that yes, we have an issue when it comes to mass incarceration in brown and black and Latino communities. But I started to notice that the feds didn't really discriminate too much because they locked up everybody. I met so many politicians, I met so many businessmen, and it was interesting, and it was a great testing ground for the personal training business that I wanted to run one day.
Well, but so what was this? This wasn't a maximum security prison?
Yeah, I mean, if you steal $80 million and the FBI indicts you, you're going to a maximum facility. They don't
Uh,
care if you wore a tie.
uh-huh.
You know,
Right. And so what would happen is it would get around that Hector's the guy to see if you want to have a healthy life inside here. And then
oh, totally.
they would come to you and you'd say, well, who are you? And here's the price.
Yeah.
And then how would they get the money to you?
Oh man, that was a interesting form of navigating, which wasn't that hard. Your wife will bring my wife the payment every month.
I
You
see.
know,
Yeah.
so as long as you got living relatives outside, we'll find a way to get the money from
But that did make your wife say, hey, Hector, stay in there. We're making money.
them. Nah, I've always made money, but yeah, it was quite the experience that gauged my plans when returning home back to New York.
Uh-huh. So you get out. How did you go about finding a job?
That was tough. That was tough, Bradley. That was tough. And I think environment and support is what helps you get through those tough moments. My first 8, 9 months home, I couldn't get a job. No corporate health club or boutique studio wanted to give me a shot. I do not know why. Spoke well, was well groomed, carried myself well, was in shape, and still could not land the opportunity, which proved like pure discrimination. So for those 8, 9 months, I continued working out, I continued reading, staying in the house and studying until eventually one day I went downtown and begged a woman for a job who was the manager of a corporate health club, and she laughed And she was very honest. She was like, well, what are you going to do for me if I end up getting you in? And I told her, we're going to take over New York City when it comes to fitness.
There's more of my conversation with Hector Guadalupe of A Second You Foundation.
We teach people hard and soft skills. We teach people how to take those transferable skills you had when you was selling dope in the streets and teach you how to sell a different product, right?
It's coming up next. Plus, Dr. Sachin Panda on his favorite place in America.
We have to find something else that will give us comfort and strength. And the best thing we can give ourselves is to go to a place where we feel comfortable.
I'm Bill Bradley, and this is American Voices on Sirius XM Radio. I'm Bill Bradley, host of American Voices. We're back now with my guest, Hector Guadalupe of A Second You Foundation.
I didn't have anybody. I've been in some really dark times. And if you come out on the other side, it's what makes you great, right?
So tell us about Second You Foundation. What do you offer people?
A Second You offers you, for most, their first chance at being entrepreneurs in the fitness space. But it's much more than that. It's a 10-week training program, 7 days a week. It's a very intense program. Along those 10 weeks, you are provided national certification as a fitness instructor. You are provided our nation's top nutrition certification as a nutritionist. You're provided career placement at corporate health clubs or independently. Each person that enters our program gets a $1,300 cash stipend each. They get brand new clothing. They are provided Metro cards, food, beverages, a support system, mentorship. They're provided through Bank of America financial literacy courses, software training through Microsoft. The list is very long. We have a 2% recidivism rate, which is very low for an organization like ours. We have 250 graduates, which we're really proud of. There's a difference between being nice and being kind, right? Mm-hmm. It's a huge difference, actually, in being nice and being kind. That's right. When it comes to me and Ammo, like, our relationship is slowly growing where it's to the point where it's like, yo, how's your family doing, right? Not like, good morning. Good morning is being nice. Being kind is when you're like, yo, how's your family doing, right? Like, what do you guys got planned today? Like, you're showing a genuine caring for another person, interest in another person, which goes a long, very long way.
If one man can do, another can do, yes? If this guy can wake up and come in here for 2 years and have his own gym and make $250,000 a year and live the life he wants, why not me? What we do is teach you how to grab it. You have to learn how to grab it. Decide. The origin of the word, decide, means to cut off any other possibility of anything getting in the way of what your goal is and where you're going.
So how do you get to be a part of Second You Foundation?
You have to be someone who has been affected by our criminal justice industry, right? So
you have to have been in prison?
Or could have been, at a county, not necessarily, because, there's so many different levels. You have people that just go to Rikers Island. You have people that go to county jails. If you have pled guilty of a crime, even if it's probation, even if you copped out to community service, that is a strike on your jacket. Anybody that's been in contact or affected by the criminal justice industry can go through the screening and interview process at a Second You Foundation.
And so how many do you accept a year? And how many people participate?
Out of 250 interviewed a year, 100 are accepted.
Listen, what lessons do you teach people?
We teach people hard and soft skills. We teach people how to take those transferable skills you had when you was selling dope in the streets and teach you how to sell a different product, right? So we teach you how to prospect, how to communicate, what to read, how to close a sale, down to obviously the more hard skills like anatomy, kinesiology, exercise science. So we teach a lot of, it's pretty much like a new language when people enroll into our program.
Sounds comprehensive.
Very tough, very, very tough.
So what have some of your graduates accomplished after finishing Second U?
6% of all of our graduates turned into entrepreneurs.
Really?
They started their own businesses in Manhattan and their own nonprofits. It's amazing.
And what else? What do they do?
For example, Kenny Atkins, which is a graduate, one of the first graduates of a Second U Foundation, is a multimillionaire and has rebuilt destroyed homes throughout Newark and provided people ownership and equity in real estate, which I think is mind-blowing. I got another graduate named Ricky Burton, who owns a gym called Naturally Cut. He started not only a fitness brand, also started a nonprofit called the Naturally Cut Experience that takes inner city youth from high school before going to college and gets them ready for sports-specific programming and basketball. You know, he's training some of the top kids of the city. And this, to me, to watch this on a daily basis, I'm extremely proud of them all.
Yeah, you have reason to be. And a lot of them had real tough times inside, didn't they?
Oh, the couple that I just mentioned to you, one did 10, one did 19 years, you know, and came home and didn't miss a beat. These were just people that were extremely dedicated to doing well, to doing the right thing.
And I've always been interested, were any of your students in solitary confinement?
Oh, for sure. Plenty of us. I spent 31 months in solitary confinement myself. My top trainer, Tommy Morris, he spent 11 years out of 30 years in solitary confinement.
So how do you negotiate that? I mean, we see about prison and a lot of things written about what it's like in prison, but what is it like in solitary confinement, and how do you become so resourceful that you can survive it?
You don't have a choice but to survive. It's like how when the pandemic hit in every community, every business, corporation, everybody stopped. Everything stopped globally and everybody became locked in solitary confinement of their own homes and spaces. And guess what they had to do? They had to figure it out. You had to figure out how to pivot. You had to figure out, okay, how do I move from still being profitable? How do I move from still getting my workout in? How do I help myself mentally? How do I still take care of my home and pay my bills now that I can't run to every meeting on foot, right? People figured it out. It's the same way what we all experienced is the same way people deal with solitary confinement. Obviously, there's going to be mental health challenges where some don't make it, but most will. You're gonna meditate. You're gonna learn meditation. You're gonna read everything you get your hands on. Journaling is a huge part of mental health and emotional health. Writing every day. You know, I used to enjoy writing poems. I used to love stretching out and, you know, getting a great workout in with just body weight, learning how to be creative with exercises. You figure out how to utilize time. That's the best answer.
Right.
You figure out how to create a routine that challenges the clock.
But do you ever encounter another human being other than a guard?
No.
Is it the same guard?
No, it's not. Shifts change like, you know, any other ordinary shift. But yeah, it's just you and mental space and time. And you have to figure out how to get through those days productively and come out strong on the other side.
And you did it for 31 months?
Yeah.
How were you stronger when you came out of solitary?
Oh, it was insane. I was doing 1,000 squats a day. I was doing 500 push-ups a day. I would spend an hour just stretching out. I felt holy. I read 50 books a year, you know?
That's amazing.
There's one, Joel Ramsey is from Boston. He's been incarcerated since he spent half his life in prison. He's almost 40. He's been in and out of the system since 15 years old. He now runs his own training studio called Custom Fit. He's another one who has turned into an entrepreneur, and he's training real celebrities and leaders. He's also a coach at a Second U too, by the way. Then we have Tommy Morris. He started his own brand called In Vivo Wellness, which is, I mean, from every model you can think of to also politicians, he's training them. And Tommy did 30 years in prison for homicides. He went in at the age of 15. He's been brought back to life twice in the hospital because he was the only white kid in East New York, Brooklyn at the time in the early 80s, you know, and Tommy, coming from such a dark place, has turned into a massive success. And I'm very proud of this young entrepreneur.
Fantastic.
It's insane what this access has done for people coming home.
Yeah, well, a lot of times it's just that second chance that counts, and you're giving it to them, Hector.
Trying my best, brother, trying my best.
So what you're teaching at the Second U Foundation is really entrepreneurship, really?
Entrepreneurship and resilience.
Through fitness.
Fitness is just a tool. We're doing so much more outside of that now. We're branching off into other industries where returning citizens who might not want to be a trainer, might want to learn podcasting. So we started a podcast company, which is called the Second Chances Matter podcast. It's amazing. We have a docu-series we're going to start filming this year because we're getting into film. So men and women coming home can be trained up in the film industry and streaming and creating. We are also putting together a concept for the Box Cafe because men and women coming home could be great in hospitality. You know, so this is just our first step.
So, but let me ask you, you kind of said, oh yeah, but fitness is just the first step, but it is an important step, right? In terms of instilling a sense of discipline?
Totally. I mean, with fitness is at the core of your existence, right? If there's no wellness, if you're not well mentally, emotionally, and physically, how far can you get, right? Wellness should be at the core of who you are as a person. We all look up to those that are disciplined, that have a strong regimen, you know, that take care of their health. If you don't take care of your health, you're a liability out here.
Yeah. So when somebody graduates from Second U Foundation, this intense 10-week course, and they go out to try to find a job, do they encounter the same things you did?
People have it far, far way harder than I do. And this is what humbles me. I had it pretty good because I had family to come home to. A lot of people don't. Most don't. It's a really tough situation to deal with societal challenges and also try to get through this program. It's not easy at all.
But the Second U Foundation really becomes like a family.
Oh, it is a family. It is a family, truly. The amount of support that they have, this mentorship piece, that's the bones of us. And this program is what really keeps us all connected like glue. You know, they really feel you're in an incubator of people who have walked that walk.
Yeah, well, who did that for you when you were coming out, and who was there in your life who supported you when you needed it?
When I was in tough situations, I didn't have it. I didn't have that support. I didn't have anybody. I've been in some really dark times, and it's what makes you, if you come out on the other side, it's what makes you great, right? You want to be great at any industry, go through all the grit work. You know, start from the bottom and go where it's painful at. And if you come out on the other side, you'll be great. But I didn't have the support, you know? I didn't have the guidance, unfortunately.
But, you know, you mentioned in some senses in your own life, you had it easier because you still had family. Tell us a little bit about what that meant to you during those years and how that helped sustain you.
I think having access to my grandparents and my uncles it helped me mentally. I had someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
That's underlooked a lot, especially when it comes to my community. Like we don't have access and resources to therapists, therapy, mental health services. So me having them to lean on and cry to or confide in or just blow some steam and jump on the phone and call them and tell them my thoughts, that was huge for many years. Having someone to talk to, having a shoulder or an ear to lean on is huge, and most people don't. Like the most simple things that we have and take for granted, people don't have access to.
So what do you say to people who are listening and admire you and what you've done and the discipline you've had and the goals you've set for yourself and how you have this tremendous sense of giving back? What advice do you have for people listening who want to offer support and give someone a second chance?
First, do not underestimate the gifts of all communities.
The gifts of all communities. What do you mean?
That means Senator Bradley's no better than me. Just because I went to prison, that means nothing.
Yep.
People from all backgrounds, do not count nobody out because of this or because of that, or this person went to prison, or this one doesn't have, a formal education.
It's like my grandmother used to say. My grandmother used to say, never look down on people you don't understand.
Exactly, right? So what I want to say is be an open book. Be open to providing someone with a shot. Be open to providing someone with an opportunity. If you want to learn more about us, you can train with our coaches. There's plenty of projects we have going on we need support with. There's also cohorts and actual people you can sponsor that are coming home when it comes to their education, when it comes to their clothing, when it comes to their career as fitness instructors.
You're giving them a way in, that's for sure.
Totally.
Listen, I want to salute you for what you're doing and for how you've coped with difficulty in your life and inspired other people and then put your life on the line to help them. I'm very, very moved by this, Hector. Thanks for being here on American Voices. You're teaching all of us about the power of a second chance.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've been speaking with Hector Guadalupe of A Second You Foundation and his gym, Unibody Fitness. To find out more, visit our Facebook page. It's American Voices with Senator Bill Bradley.
Every time you open to kindness, make one connection used to divide us. It echoes over the world.
Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.